What was the best moment of your life? Happy days with my ex. Motorcycle. Work on projects all day together. Laugh. Then get back to my place. Order some shitty food like KFC and watch stupid movies. Cuddle. Sometimes have sex. Go to bed and repeat the next day. I didn't have a lot of money. Was renting a tiny flat. But I was the happiest I've ever been. Later, I'm a multi-millionaire. No job. Complete freedom to do whatever I want. Been traveling around Asia for the past 3 years. Borderline suicidal. Lonely, unable to make any meaningful connection. I remember when I was 19 I was outside. The snowflakes were in her red hair. We were dancing on the frozen street. Walking a few blocks from my house to my uncle's with our closest friends. It felt like time stopped as we looked at each other. That moment existed forever, with the snow drifting down and the laughter, the empty streets. There were so many beautiful moments. But that was the first to come to mind. Everything was perfect. Nothing hurt. The world just seemed happier back then. When I was a teenager, I was on a cross-country bicycle tour by myself, and one night, I was camping in the most picturesque forested cliff overlooking the Pacific coast that you could ever imagine. After months of cycling and processing past trauma, I was finally at a place of perfect bliss. As the sun was setting on the ocean, I heard myself say out loud, "I could die right now." The words were involuntary and came from a place of absolute serenity. I wouldn't have known I said it if I wasn't listening. It was the pinnacle of my life. When I thought everything was going as planned, had a partner that I can't wait to start a marriage life with, getting to see both my parents every day in their old age, excelling in my career and have bigger opportunity that awaits, taking up music and dance classes as my hobby. Everything was just balanced and I was so contented, then boom. Now I'm just single but still have everything else. I'm still grateful that I can still manage. I guess being able to live is a chance to make everything count. The moment I realized I loved my boyfriend. We had only been dating a couple of weeks. But one day we were napping together, and I woke up and just knew immediately I loved him with my whole heart. A few days later he finally said he loved me, beat me to it, and said that he realized it in the exact same moments that I did. We were both just trying to find the right time to say it. So far nothing has beat that warm feeling of pure content when I knew I was finally with my person. I have was this one night I was breastfeeding my son when he was about 2 months old. All was quiet and I was watching this absolutely incredible tiny human suckle and sleep. I remember telling myself to burn this perfect memory into my brain. And I did. The second was the first time I made my son laugh as a baby. Those giggles broke me wide open. I sobbed because I was just so totally in love with this little guy. He is now 19 and can't be bothered with me. We live on a lake and our daughter wanted to get married with the lake as a backdrop. A little risky in April, but it was a perfect sunny day with everything in bloom. Relatives came in from far away and old friends were there. Ceremony and party went off without a hitch. When everyone had left and I went to turn the outside lights off, I sat down and wept with joy and relief. The next day a huge storm blew through. Moments after my kids were born and hearing they are perfectly healthy. There's nothing better in the world than knowing your child is doing just fine. Nothing else in my else has ever come close to the sense of internal happiness that I had at that moment. Besides that, it's small everyday moments. Hanging out with friends, my kids having fun. I get a great sense of joy from seeing people I love happy. Giving birth to my son. I am not a naturally maternal person. But this day was amazing. We were both not doing so well, and I had an emergency C-section. Just the two of us in hospital. My mother and my partner came. But it was still COVID times. So they couldn't stay the whole time. Are still the best days of my life. And I love every second of it. It was on vacations in Spain. I woke up and looked left. There was my beautiful girlfriend and my son still sleeping while I felt the warm sun and heard birds singing. I thought to myself, I want to wake up every day exactly like this. That was peak happiness for me. I miss her a lot now. First time my son spontaneously wrapped his arms around my neck, squeezed me tight, and said, "I love you, Daddy." To anyone else who was at the all-you-can-eat Korean BBQ place that day, you can thank my tears of joy for the mysteriously salty orange slices at the buffet. Summer nights as a kid in the 90s, 2000s. What a time. Hot as hell. Good friends. I was fit and healthy, safe, and the nights seemed to last forever. I know phones and stuff have improved the world, but we've lost something that used to be so good before them. A couple pop into my head. The first time I got on stage and won a rap comp against someone who was bragging about how he wouldn't lose just hours before it. Also the first time I ever told a girl I loved her, in a tree at sunset. It was pretty cool. Seeing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arrive in Nevan along with April O'Neil at NGM Studios in Orlando when I was 8 years old. I got goosebumps even writing that I'll be 40 this year. I remember being a passenger in a taxi in Mexico while I was a drummer for a cruise line and Dave Matthews was playing. I realizing this is a dope moment and don't ever forget it. It changes every millisecond I live because I'm lucky and glad to be alive. Everyone's best moment should be every moment they breathe, because that could end at any moment. Realizing that despite Taliban's best efforts, I was alive and everyone on my team was alive. There is nothing quite like profoundly upsetting someone by just staying alive. My first kiss with my first girlfriend and hanging out with a bunch of friends from all over the US last weekend and realizing that I have true friends. When my dad got me a figurine of my favorite cartoon, more than 2 years since he passed away, at that moment will stay etched in my memory. Being someone who has never been to the USA and being invited to sing at a talent convention in New York City. Best week of my entire life. Birth of my daughter. Also more recently being told I was essentially cancer-free after surgery and intense chemo. Having a baby. I thought the best moment was when I got married. But nah, it's actually when I got pregnant. Every time I've had sex, it was the best moment of my life. I've had lots of best moments, thankfully. It's hard to pick just one, but the first time I saw the sunrise over the ocean was pretty magical. Holding my daughter for the very first time. She'd be 9 in a few weeks. Fucking wild. The day I got married to my wife. The days my children were born. Pure unbridled joy. Never had a best moment. Every moment of my life was at best boring. At worst horrible. Ordered some fries and they accidentally gave me a small piece of an onion ring in there. When I learned to be happy by myself. I don't need anything and anyone to be happy. I don't know. But this week was me winning $150 from $1 Happy Late Day to me. Giving birth to my 2 daughters who are still and will always be my world. When I was 19, I met a girl. We've been together ever since. I'm 52. Always act like it may be right now. And you don't want to miss it. Marrying my wife. I can't believe I got so lucky in finding her. Moving in with my boyfriend and having him not be a psycho.